So I'm going to title this session Grace or Receiving Grace because it's what it's about. Now our poses, our exercises will not be so much about that, but it's Friday and it's a good day to reflect. And I wanted to read these two things. Here we go. I have to pull this up. And the reason I did this was since I was on my social media this morning and it came up in a story form that just resonated. And then when I drew my Kuan Yin Oracle card, it was like the same issue, the same thing. So I'm going to read the story from social media because it's kind of a hit home, type of thing. And the woman that posted it said, I would suggest every girl should read this. And it was shared by her friend. And she says, a few months ago, my friend had just crossed age 45. Just 8 days later, she died of a sudden illness. In the group, we received a condolence message. And the quotation is, sad, she is no more with us. R.I.P. for rest in peace, unquote. 2 months later, I called her husband. A thought crossed my mind. He must be devastated as he had a traveling job. Till her death, she would oversee everything, home, education of their children, taking care of the aged in-laws. I have to cough here, 1 second. Their sickness, managing relatives, etc. She would express at times, my house needs my time. My hubby can't even make coffee, tea, or anything. My family needs me for everything, but no one cares or appreciates the efforts I put in. I feel they all take me for granted. I called her husband to see if the family needed any support, as I felt her hubby must be feeling lost to handle all the family responsibilities, aging parents, kids, his traveling job, loneliness at this age, and so forth. How must he be managing? The cell phone rang for some time. There was no response. After an hour, he returned the call. He apologized that he could not answer my call as he had started playing tennis for an hour at his club, meeting friends and so forth. He even took a transfer to Pune, that's P-U-N-E, I believe that's in India, so that he not travel much. Maybe that's not India, it must be closer. All well at home, I asked. He replied, he had appointed a cook and paid her a little more to buy the groceries and provisions. He had appointed full-time caretakers for his aging parents. Managing well, kids are fine, life is returning to normalcy, he said. I barely managed to say a couple of sentences and we hung up. Tears ran down my cheeks. My friend was in my thoughts. She had missed the school reunion for a minor ailment of her mother-in-law. She had missed her niece's wedding because she had to supervise the repair work in her house. She had missed so many fun parties and movies because her children had exams. She had to cook, take care of her husband's needs. She had always looked for some appreciation and some recognition, which she never got. Today, I feel like telling her, no one is indispensable and no one will be missed. It is just the play of our minds. Perhaps it is the consolation. It is we who put others first and ourselves second. Reality bites. After her death, 2 more maids were hired and the house was in order. You are significant and no one is indispensable. So she says, message to all ladies, her message to all ladies. Most importantly, make time for yourself, the me time, time for self. Get in touch with your friends, talk, laugh, and enjoy. Live your passion, live your life, do things that you love to do. Don't look for your happiness in others. You too deserve some happiness. Because if you are not happy, you cannot make others happy. Everyone needs you, and you too need your own care and love. Women should come forward to help and guide other women who are unable to handle their personal stress and give them a hand to uplift their confidence. Let us help ourselves and make this life worthwhile. We all only have one life to live. Make the best of it. So I thought that was rather profound. So let me turn off the sounds on my phone. So then when I pulled the card in the Kuan Yin Oracle, the card that came up was the Ivory Swan Goddess. Now, the fellow that does the artwork for this is just stunning. So I'm going to show you this card and see if you can see it. I don't know if you can see the artwork, but this is the back of the card. So that's on all the cards on the back, and then it's on the front cover. So the amount of work, now this fellow's father was an artist, and then he became an artist, and he studied Western and Eastern art techniques. So he blends those in all of his artwork. And then the woman that wrote the book here is Alana Fairchild, and you can tell she's highly evolved. So I wanted to read a little bit from this book to show you how synchronous it is, okay? So the Ivory Swan Goddess speaks of spiritual grace and purity. The purity of your soul light never fades, beloved. Release guilt, shame, judgment, or fear that you are not enough in any way, so that you may realize your beauty, be more of yourself, and shine your divine essence into the world. Do not cast your eyes away from the perception of your own divine inner light in all its purity and radiance. You may find it easier to believe in the illusion of sins and unworthiness than in the truth of your spiritual innocence. Yet, just like the purity, beauty, and grace of the Ivory Swan Goddess, your own soul is luminous, pure, and eternally graceful. You are being asked to recognize the divine energy within you without holding yourself back from unconditional self-acceptance and regard. It is time to accept your divinity in greater measure, to be present to the pure light within and not try to ignore it, downplay it, or worry that it is not enough. No matter what has happened in your life or what experiences or choices you have made, your soul light is as pure as the divine source itself, because essentially that is what it is. There is no need for spiritual shame or feelings of inadequacy. The light within all of us is exactly the same. We are just in different stages of realizing it. So she recommends for healing to find a quiet, private space with a pen and your journal and sit down and write a letter to yourself from your higher self, which is unconditionally loving. This letter is to affirm that you now love yourself unconditionally, that you do not judge or condemn yourself, that you forgive yourself for being human and needing to learn lessons, and that you are now ready to release shame and guilt so that you can move more accurately, be who you are and in truth. You can add any other unconditionally accepting and loving statements from your soul to the letter. It doesn't matter whether you fully believe the unconditional love in your words. You will in time, and why not start cultivating that higher capacity for loving acceptance right now? So if you want to take just a few minutes to go ahead, because in my experience, when I have done anything like this where it asks to write down an exercise, people don't do it. They leave the video and it's gone. So we'll take a little time. Let's see, maybe 3 minutes. That way we can come back and then we'll get started with, but do you see how the letter in the social media and the message in the Kuan Yin is the same? Now she takes it to a more spiritual level in acknowledging the inner light and our own innocence, and we actually embrace the shame and the guilt, and it's been projected upon us and we've internalized it. Be aware of any feelings that come up as you write. Okay, so if you want to wrap it up. I think if we think of a child, the innocence of a child before it's programmed and scripted with guilt and shame and resistance, that's our soul. All right. Do you want to read it? No? Okay. All right. Well, thanks for taking the time to do that. And we'll just keep all of that in mind as we work through our moves and enjoy our newfound innocence. Whoops. Oh, I should probably change the view on here to speaker. Okay. We'll sit in easy pose for a couple minutes to complete our centering and just to allow the love from our higher self to penetrate any barriers we have, any walls, any self-doubt, any guilt or need to forgive ourselves. Allow yourself to absorb that into your physical body, ground it into your physical body. And as we move through our poses, we'll continue that grounding and anchoring that divine love and innocence in our minds and our bodies. So as you allow that grace, bring your awareness to your breath and notice how your breath is flowing. If it's fast or slow, if it's controlled or natural, are you breathing with intention or are you just allowing it to flow? Neither is right or wrong. It's just noticing what's happening with the breath. Notice if writing your letter brought up any emotion. Just if it did, just acknowledge that, whatever emotion emerged and surfaced. When we decline accepting our self-worth, when we decline our divine innocence and worthiness, we're setting ourselves up to be a victim. I would say that's what the woman did in the story of the woman who died. So this is a way of claiming our power, our connection to the creator source being, and to allow that to express through us. So check in with your body now and see what physical sensations you might feel. And just like a beautiful, graceful swan, let's come up into standing for our attunement to breath. You can shake out your legs if you need to after sitting for a little while, and then just come up into standing. Just feet comfortably apart, and breathe as you take your arms out to the side and up overhead and palms together. Breathe it up. Breathe out as you lower your arms. One more round, breathing it up. Palms together over your heart. Now, since we're working with the Swan Goddess, we'll come into a swan dive gracefully. So breathe arms up overhead, out, hinge forward in the hips, and come down over your legs. Just bend and straighten one leg at a time. Let that movement go up into your hips. And then a little closer, head to knee. And plant your feet in the ground, in the earth, and take your arms out to the side. Reverse swan, press down on your feet, lift your crown, breathe. Arms overhead. Start your exhale and another swan dive. Down over your legs, stretch it in. One more. Arms out to the side, press down on your feet, activate your legs, breathe your way up. And last swan dive, coming down over your legs. Head to knee. Then just walk your hands forward
Spread out your fingers. Bend your knees and hop back into plank pose. Hop your feet in. Lift up, kind of a burpee. Arms overhead. Come down, palms on the floor, spread fingers wide. Plank. Hop it in. I'm going to lose my glasses here. There we go. And arms overhead. Bend forward. Hop back. Hop in. And up. Breathe. Out. Exhale down. Breathe. Hop back into plank. Hold. Separate your feet. Press through your heels. Press onto your right palm. Lift your left arm out to the side. Breathe. And switch hands, arms. Right arm out. And palm down. Press up into your downward facing dog. All right, lower your knees down. Take your feet out to your right and sit on your hips. And just make your legs comfortable wherever you want them to be. And lower down onto your left forearm. So elbows under your shoulder. And reach your right arm up overhead. And bring it back down behind you. Breathe it up and over. Breathe it up and down. Breathe it up and over. Now stretch both legs out, stack your feet, come into a straight line. Reach up as though you're pulling a rope to lift your hips up off the floor into a side plank on your elbow. Lift a little higher. Look up. Lower down. Lift up. Lower down. Lift. And one more time. And lift. Reach your hips up. Arm overhead. And lower your hips, lower your arm. Take your legs to the other side. We'll repeat. Come down onto your forearm. And breathe your arm up overhead. And bring it down behind you. Breathe up. Breathe out. Breathe. And lift your arm up. Stretch out both legs. Come into a nice straight line from your feet to your head. Breathe.
Exhale, breathe your hips up and hold. Now lift your hips up and down. Whoops. Lift up. Look up. Notice what muscles you're feeling that are working. And lower down. Lift up, breathe. And down. I'm sliding off my mat here. And down. Up and down. One more. Up, lower down, bend your knees. Come into puppy stretch. Toes under, downward facing dog. And just to bring the energy down, lift up onto your toes, draw your heels down, reach up and down, reach up, down, stretch your heels down into the earth, draw your navel up for support. And walk your feet in, separate your feet and come down in between your knees. Lift up and we'll work with our hips to open for more of our standing poses. And then come down in between your feet into goddess pose, palms together. Press the knees a little wider. Bring your thumbs into your sternum and lift tall in your back. Lengthen and reach your crown up. Now, allow the earth's energy to come up into the perineum, into your feet, up into your heart. Allow the spiritual energies to come in through your crown, down into your heart, where the earth and spirit meet. All right, release your hands and we'll come up, lift your hips, toes forward, head to knee. Slide your hands forward, take your feet back, allow your hips to come down towards the ground. Press through your heels. Open the chest. Look up, lift. Stretch the front of your body, relax in your low back. Downward facing dog. Stretch out the work you just did. And walk your feet in. Bring your hands back. Reverse swan. Coming up. Excuse me. And open out into five-pointed star. You may need to turn on your mat. Separate your feet out into five-pointed star. Now bring your arms around to the back, interlace fingers and open the chest and shoulders. Stretch your chin up. Activate your legs for stability. Lift up and arch back. And press down on your feet, lift your crown, breathe, and come forward, arms overhead. Let your arms relax towards the floor to stretch in your shoulders. Isometrically squeeze your legs and feet together, lift back up as though someone's pulling your hands up. All right, now take your arms out to the side. This is to tone the upper arms. We did this last class, and it really works to smooth out the skin and the muscles under your arms. So turn the thumbs back, rotate in the shoulder, turning your thumbs back. Bring your arms around behind you. Try to keep them lifted up and pull them in as close as they'll come. And go to the maximum stretch, pulling in. Chin can be up or down, whatever's most comfortable. And once you have your arms stretched in, then pulse. So it's not in and out, it's in, 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 in. All right, there's 75. Shake out your arms. We work up to 100, but for now, we just work with 75. Now, we want to bring the left arm up next to your ear, bend your elbow. We'll stretch out our work. Reach for the left elbow. Draw your elbow behind your head. Stretch it in. Press your head back gently to open the shoulder. Take in another breath. Side stretch to the right. stay in alignment so you could fit between two panes of glass. Press down on your feet and isometrically squeeze your legs together as you lift back up to center. Gently release the left arm and bend the right elbow. Same thing. Elbow, if it'll come behind your head, press your head against your arm to open the shoulder. Breathe and reach up through your elbow and your crown. Exhale to the left. Press down in your feet, squeeze legs isometrically together, lift back up to center, and release your arms. Let them come down, and just a few crisscrosses to move the energy. And then open the arms out. Turn your front foot, possibly your right foot forward. Taking a breath. And come out into warrior two pose. Open the knee and open the hip. So it's a pull, a stretch, pressing the knee back and opening the hip. Lowering down. The back foot is on an angle, heel is pressing away. Come back into your warrior two. Arms open, chest, shoulders open. And breathe it in a couple times. Exhale out. Okay, so we're going to practice the bind. And I think the bind pose is a great one since we're working with releasing any self-doubt, any shame or guilt. So the bind will represent those qualities of guilt, self-doubt. Just bring your right arm under the right thigh, bring the shoulder down to the knee, bend your right elbow, bring the hand up behind you and reach your left hand, hook your fingers. Now bring your body in alignment, in line with that front leg. Look up. Now we're going to accept the grace of Kuan Yin and the divine creator. Release your hands, lift back up into warrior two. Open and strong, free from guilt, shame, and self-doubt. Breathe the knee back in and release your arms down. Now we'll switch sides. You can just switch on your mat. I'm going to switch, so I'll be on the opposite side to the front. So separate your feet, bring your arms out, open the chest. Now remember to elongate in the spine. Breathe and lower down into your warrior two pose. Open the knee Deepen your pose and breathe in, breathe out, bend. Then come into your warrior two and hold. Keep aligning. Open the front knee, pull the back hip open. Deepen your pose. Now the bind, take in your breath. Left arm, reach under that front thigh. Bring the shoulder down, the elbow. Bend your arm, reach your hand up behind your hip. Other hand comes, interlace fingers, and open the body. Align the body with the front leg, open the shoulders, look up. Representing being bound by guilt and shame, self-doubt. Now release your hands, lift the torso, return to warrior two. Straighten the knee, relax your arms. Just walk your feet into center. Pause for a moment and accept the grace, accept your own innocence, purity. Your soul is innocent and pure. And to anchor that in, a swan dive. Breathe, arms overhead. Open, hinge forward. Gently swan dive down. Head to knee. And then reach for the floor, bend your knees. We'll come into a twist. So bend your knees and sit. Let's see. Reach up through your crown. Your left leg can be in front of the shin, in front of the knee, or beside the thigh. Whichever level works for you best today. Make sure you let your heel out so there's room to bring both sitting bones on the mat. Stretch your leg in and breathe your left arm up and open to the side into your twist. Lower down, breathe. Press down in your sitting bones, lift, breathe your arm up and come back around. Just for a moment, hold the stretch. And then lean back and just switch your legs to whichever position you prefer to hold. Both sitting bones press down into the earth. Hold on to the leg and reach forward with your right arm. Breathe it up and come around to the side into your twist. Press down in the sitting bones. And breathe your right arm up and unwind. Holding position for just a moment or two. Lean back. Bend both knees. Separate your feet and just a couple of cat stretches. Breathe. Breathe out as you round. Breathe in. And breathe out. Leaning back. Just making sure you're positioned on your mat. Release your legs and lower down onto your back. Release your arms, palms up, and slide one heel out on the diagonal, then the other leg on the diagonal. If you need to, pull your hips under. Shoulder blades under. Shavasana, relax. And just picture, if you remember the picture that I showed you of the Ivory Swan Goddess. Imagine her next to you, or perhaps she's in flight around you. Think of your letter that you wrote to yourself. And we'll say to the goddess, beloved Kuan Yin, you encountered betrayal, violation, abuse, and misunderstanding in your lifetimes, yet you ascended as a soul of pure light and deep compassion, a being of grace, an Ivory Swan Goddess. I now ask that you witness this soul letter and help me open my heart to receive your grace. And imagine her pure light shining from within you, brighter and brighter, opening up the light, the pure white wings of a swan, with light soft and pure as creamy ivory. This is your soul healing. Now just imagine Kuan Yin sending you light, brighter and brighter. Bring your awareness back now to your physical body, the room where you're lying in Shavasana. Start to bring some movement into your hands and feet. Slide your feet together, lift your knees to your chest. Come over to one side and press up into sitting. Bring your hands into mudra to lock in the belief, the energy, the light. Commit to regularly taking time for yourself. Just listen to the urgings of Kuan Yin. And then draw palms together over your heart. Sending gratitude back to the source, back to the deities like Kuan Yin. Her energy is very similar to Mary, Mother Mary. They have gone before us and assist us now from the other side. So may you experience grace all day long. Namaste.
Gosh. Am I muted? No, I'm not. So